Relax and unwind with me as I work on my current whip. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Catherine Michelle, and I love to crochet, knit, read, write, draw, paint, and take care of my plants. I'm afraid of horses, heights, and roller coasters. My speed in life is slow enough to enjoy it. I do have a day job that's high intensity and high stress, so I choose to spend my free time unwinding as best I can to reset my nervous system even just a little bit. Today, let's chat as I work on a project that has gotten the best of me in the past, but I've now become determined to complete. It can be difficult to work on one project all the way through without starting another. Sometimes I feel like I just need a palate cleanser while working on a particularly difficult pattern. Something relatively easy, mindless, and pretty. I often find myself gravitating towards granny squares just because they're so versatile and you don't need to have a whole project figured out to work on them. You can just make some and put them together to make something else later, but you don't even need to know what that something else is in the beginning. But it's very easy to get distracted, especially when we feel a little bored or overwhelmed with our current work in progress and we're nowhere near its completion. The temptation to start something new can be very strong, and sometimes the urge can take over. This leads us to abandon our current project and move on to another that is likely to experience a similar cycle and the same fate of incompleteness. But not too long ago, I heard someone say that completed is better than perfection. I don't know where he heard this, which is unfortunate because I would really like to give them credit for my new life motto. But it's true. It's much better to finish an imperfect project than to not complete any project at all. After years of creating, I've come to realize that our imperfections are pretty much only obvious to us anyway, the artist, and are often not even seen by others. Weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to knit my husband a hoodie for our 5th wedding anniversary. Actually, I had also told him I would knit a hoodie last Christmas, so technically we were revisiting the promise. I had originally intended to make it for him as a Christmas gift. I had bought the pattern and I thought I nailed the yarn choice. I even started it, but I had never knit any type of garment before and the yarn was completely wrong for the piece. I had little to no understanding of how to even knit a sweater before this first failed attempt, and I've honestly yet to have a successful attempt since, but I do feel like I'm closer to it. I felt really bad about not getting it right the first time because I could tell my husband was a little bit disappointed. And although the project totally died with my failure in execution, I still refused to accept total defeat and vowed to revisit it. So that's exactly what I'm doing now, and I've done a lot better the second time around. I'm currently working on a pattern called Tavish by Martin Story that I found posted on Etsy. I'm really enjoying the process of executing it, and I'm hopeful that I won't make any huge mistakes that could derail my entire project down the line. I've completed the back panel and am more than halfway done with the front. But I'm nervous right now because I'm about to move on to a new stage of the front panel, and I'm so worried I'm going to make a mistake after doing a bunch of work on it and I'll just be forced to frog it all back. And though you know about the previous complete and utter failure of my first attempt, this second attempt hasn't exactly been smooth sailing either. I have frogged this project 3 times so far. So I guess technically you can call this my 5th attempt. Anyway, the patterns call for some more rows and no decreases yet. So maybe I should just read the instructions one more time and get to it. But the distraction struggle is real. Actually, even though I've had to frog this project so many times, I did read the directions very closely, but I didn't really understand what they meant. I read the same line over and over and over, but I couldn't tell what it was trying to say, and I actually had to Google it. Sometimes I find that the language in patterns isn't as precise and clear as you would expect in something that is intended to be instructional. My recommendation is that if you are working on a pattern that you're not sure if you're interpreting correctly, just give it a Goog. There are tons of people on the internet who have had the same exact question and can offer some clarity before you run your project totally aground. It can just be so very tempting to abandon the frustration of your current whip when you are feeling unsure of your next steps, or you're just tired of doing the same thing over and over. But my new plan is to commit to these big projects, and I promise myself I won't abandon them. I want to be married to these kinds of projects. I need to accept the challenge and overcome them in order to advance my skills and my ability to follow through on my goals. But my issue is my ability to stay focused, as I am very easily distracted to whatever new stimulus happens to fill my little neural synapses with dopamine. I think it's funny that distracted is both a verb and a noun. I actually don't know if that's true. I'm just assuming that it is. But I can physically distract myself or someone else, but I can also be in a state of distraction. And these things happen often to me. Just today, actually, I was about to put my sneakers on as I got ready to walk my dog, and I noticed that the umbrella was still open on our deck from when we ate breakfast out there yesterday. I immediately went towards the sliding door, intent to close the umbrella, but I still hadn't put my shoes on. Lucky for me, I realized what I was doing and turned back towards my shoes. I like to call these glitches, and glitches like this physically hold me back from streamlining my own efficiency. I'm often very frustrated when I realize that my mind switched tasks so quickly it forgot to register the previous one. This leaves me in an almost paralysis-like state where I feel stuck, sure that I interrupted an act to pursue another one, but not able to remember what act it was that I interrupted. So I'm not exactly sure what to do next. I know I decided that moving towards whatever I was moving towards was not my original plan, but now I have no idea what my original plan was. For example, typically I would have forgotten that I was going to put my shoes on in the first place. I would have known that putting the umbrella down was an act that interrupted the original act, but I wouldn't be able to remember right away what my original intention even was. Yes, I have been diagnosed with ADHD. It's not a buzzword. It's not woke. It sucks, actually. I've run out of gas on the highway because I forgot I was driving on E. I've left the stove on. I ignited nachos in a toaster oven once, so I haven't owned a toaster in over 8 years. And everyone is really reluctant to medicate me. It's super frustrating, actually, because it seems like everyone and their mother has Adderall or a Vyvanse prescription. I asked my doctor at our last appointment if we could talk about medication, and he said we would need to make another appointment for that. I made the appointment, but maybe I should just get a new doctor. So, yeah, I have a horrendous memory, which is terrifying because I watched my grandmother die from Alzheimer's. Now my great aunt has it also. Life's such a bitch, man. Anyway, I don't remember much. And to soothe my anxiety, I engage in these grandma like hobbies as an attempt to slow my brain and focus on one single thing instead of 10 things at once. And that's really not an exaggeration. Writing helps too. It takes the jumble of thoughts that are in my head and forces me to spit them out one word at a time. Editing my writing helps also because it forces me to clarify the meaning in my sentences, which helps me to actually understand the nuances of my thoughts and feelings. When you see me sitting here knitting, I may seem stuck just doing the same thing over and over, but reality is that it's actually when I'm the most free. I can sit in complete peace and not be anxious, not be nervous, and not be anything other than focusing on what my hands are doing. I can relax and I can enjoy a TV show, a podcast, or the sounds of birds in my backyard. My head isn't humming away, my hands are, and it's nice to let my brain sit on the bench sometime. Thanks for watching, and this is the part where I ask you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll be back with some more thoughts and some stitching in another video.